Hello, this is Jackie, aka Jax, and this is Live, Laugh, Stuck, a Homestuck podcast. If you couldn't tell, it would be wild if you were here and you didn't know this was a Homestuck podcast. I hate to tell you, but this is a podcast about Homestuck. My pronouns are they, them, a thing I always forget to say, and I listened back to an old episode and I've been having a hard time saying it since the beginning. And with me, as usual, for an episode titled Moosestuck, is Moosey.
Hello, I'm Moosey. My pronouns are also they, them.
Just non-binary all up in this shit.
Hmm.
You know, I'd say like maybe not Justin, but Justin's pronouns I'm pretty sure are he, they. So, you know, just the they stuck podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we are coming back from a long break that we haven't gone on yet as time of recording. And we're ready to do Act 6, Act 1. We're still using the rafe.name site to reference it, and that site includes intermission 1 in this, but we're not doing that for this one. The intermission is going to be the next episode. Act 6 is going to be really hard to figure out how to pace things. So I figured starting out slow and figuring out what the fuck is going on with these acts would be a good place to start.
Yeah, Act 6 is basically the second half of the entire thing.
Yeah, and it starts getting into Act 6, Act 2, Act 3, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just some funky subsections of things.
Mm.
But this one and the next one is pretty straightforward, so a good place to start off. Moosey, do you remember what happened last time? Because I think we recorded in July, early July, because my mom was here.
And it's like September now.
Yeah.
I didn't remember at first. Once I started reading, I realized that we had the scratch and that got fixed and everything got rebooted. And I assume, were the kids on like a spaceship or something to escape? I don't quite remember.
So you see Dave and Rose at the Green Sun.
Mm-hmm.
I think you see a Radia there.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if you see anything else happen with them after that. I don't think so.
Okay.
Jade and John and Dave Sprite are all on that battleship.
Okay.
The one of the
To
cross mission battleships.
Yeah, Jade said that she would help. What were the kind of bosses of the little worlds called?
Oh my god, that's a good question.
Like John got himself killed
The
by one early.
denizens. The
Yeah, the denizens.
denizens.
Didn't they say like you have to help us escape too or something?
Yeah, so she had to bring all of their planets with her.
Okay, yeah. So that's kind of the most of what I remember from last time. I mean, there was the murder happening, the murder stuck,
Murder stuck, yeah.
but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, those are the big things. If they're important, we'll go through them again. They're like basically not at all relevant in Act 6, Act 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because we start off with new characters.
I kind of just started reading from Act 6, Act 1. We could have skipped everything before.
Imagine. That would be wild. So there's that S Act 6 opening animation. We get the teases of new characters. Your note specifically had Sassacre, guns, Mecha Rabbit, cats in tubes.
Yeah. Like, I was seeing it, I was like, okay, like, the cat's familiar, Sassacre is familiar, the Mecha Rabbit. But then it was, like, in different contexts. I'm like, wait, I don't remember these things happening? So I was confused at first. Especially because it's been a bunch of months.
There was also a screenshot of another alien computer.
Yeah.
And the first character we go with is going to be Jane Crocker. Eventually, there is a character select screen, and you can go with either Jane or Jake, and you end up doing both of them. I'm just going to do Jane all in one go to keep that easier.
Yeah, I think that's the way I ended up reading it.
Yeah, I mean, technically, if you go by like the page numbers, it's also the first, but it makes sense in either order.
Yeah. So I understand the the callback for Jane Crocker because the Betty Crocker stuff has been relevant. Was there anyone named English in the story? Because I don't remember.
There has been Lord English referenced,
Oh,
but
right.
that's
Okay.
the only English we've heard about.
Okay. I still can't make sense of any of that part of stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so we're hanging out with Jane. She's had assassination attempts for some reason. I don't know why.
Because she's the heiress of the corporation, presumably.
Mm,
I mean, she is the heiress of the corporation. Presumably, that is why she gets the assassination attempts.
yeah. So, and then her dad grounded her for an unknown reason? Question mark, or is that just also because of the assassinations?
It's because of the assassinations. And
Oh.
I say presumably because Roxy thinks it is Betty Crocker, the head of the company, that's trying to kill her. So there's conflicting theories.
Hmm. Okay. And then it looks like her dad, like, it looks like the same art as John's dad. So I was kind of confused if it's like, is this in the reboot and we have the same guardians and then different kids? Or I guess that's like really not answered yet, but
Well, we see that Jane has Pop Pop
yeah.
and that she thinks the note in the book is dedicated to him when it's to John.
Hmm.
So we assume that that is John Crocker. And Jake thinks he's talking to his grandma from the past and he's talking to Jade.
Hmm.
So not they don't have the same guardians necessarily. Dad is just dad.
Okay. Yeah. I'm getting confused because I need like another map of timelines and whatever.
When we get everything cleared up, I can give you a map of how all the families connect.
Hmm.
It is I get that you would need a map for this.
Yeah. So,
Especially with like Jane and Jake, their last names are different. Like we have references to a D Strider and an R Lalonde.
hmm.
So their last names are the same. Their first initials are even this. Well, the first initials of the other kids are the same.
Mm,
But yeah, you get the English and Crocker.
yeah. And then Jane and Jake names are pretty similar to each other as well, just like one character difference.
Yeah, Jane, Jade, Jake, and then John
Hmm.
is the outlier.
Yeah. So then I know that D Strider is Dirk just because I know that you like a named Dirk Strider that I have not
Yeah. Yeah,
only
you know
briefly
that.
seen so far.
It's not even like that big of a like it's not like a plot twist or anything. It was just to keep the fandom guessing about what names would be.
Hmm.
Which makes ridiculous conversations. Like, have you talked to DS? Have you talked to Strider? Have you talked to eventually they start using the first two letters of the name, so it ends up being Dystry.
Hmm.
It's just ridiculous. And then they get dropped as soon as their names are revealed.
Hmm.
So but yes, you do know Dirk on account of me being a Dirk fan. I have a Twitter and Tumblr at Dirkification.
Hmm.
So
And then starting off reading, the interests of the kids and such. I was just like, oh yeah, I kind of hate this writing style.
yeah. Yeah, what about it do you hate?
It's the way things are phrased. Maybe I can open up something over here. Let's see. What
You
was
yeah,
the?
because you copied Jane's introduction in your notes.
Oh yeah, well, one is like a big wall of text.
Yeah.
So we need to know like,
You called it the textoning. Oh no, the
yeah.
textoning.
Though you guess that probably comes with the territory of being the heiress apparent to a baked goods empire. You don't suppose it hurts that you are Sid Empire's #1 fangirl either. It should come as no surprise that you enjoy baking, but also you adore reading detective stories.
Do you not like the random capitalization?
I mean, I understand that they're there for like keywords like you would see in a video game where it's like
Yeah.
these are really important parts. but this is just like a big long thing of text. The whole thing with like the pranks, playing old school japes of kind of pedestrian sometimes, but oh well, you love them all anyway. I don't know. And some I think it was later on with more of the talking. I just got really annoyed by the way they talk.
Oh, yeah. Probably more specifically Jake,
Hmm.
who we'll get to, but Jane also has some weird phrases in there, like "shucks buster."
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
So and Jake was talking, I guess, like a what you, if you just told someone's name is like a Mr. English, you might think he talks like the way Jake talks.
yeah, people go between describing it as, like, some weird British or, like, early 20s. I think it was early 20s, someone said. It's
Hmm.
wild. It's wild is what it is. Which is really funny whenever he stops talking like that and he goes, "Well, shit." And
Hmm.
I forgot he did that. I'm reading a fic right now that is one of the most, what is the word I'm looking for? Loyal, one of the most loyal portrayals of how Jake talks. Like, a lot of people just try to skip over it or they'll only throw in a couple of weird things. But this
Hmm.
person has it down fucking pat and it's wild.
Yeah. Or here we have, you are oftentimes the recipient of a good ribbing from Jane on account of your peculiar fascination with blue movie ladies. You don't have to justify yourself to her, though. What is even her deal? Any fellow would be off his rocker to not too fawn over all these bodacious blue knockouts. You want to make out with all of them. Just like this kind of like rambly style, I guess, but also about stuff that is really stupid.
Yeah.
And the movie posters. Everyone has movie posters. We're not breaking that trope here. We just gotta
No, Jake, in
keep,
fact, has more movie posters.
yeah, just gotta keep writing the same Homestuck thing, but with different characters, and make new different characters, and make new different characters. We're
Yeah,
just
you
gonna,
haven't even gotten to the new different characters.
because I know the trolls have their ancestors, and apparently we have worlds A and B, and we have A1, A2, B1, B2, and
Yeah.
it's all going to be written exactly the same, and it's going to follow the same tropes, just the internal Homestuck tropes.
Yep. And then if you don't get enough of that, you can go read fan adventures on MSPFA. Just do the tropes over and over again. Anyway, Jane, I really like that they introduced her recipe modus that
Hmm.
shows you how to create things, and she doesn't understand, like, she's getting these things that she doesn't understand their purpose. They seem useless. Like,
Yeah,
well,
the
I mean, there's no
grist.
way I could, yeah, she's got the grist that she doesn't understand why she would have. She doesn't get why she thinks it's just kind of like a little quirk, like, oh, I guess if I somehow were able to combine these things, they would make my hat. Which, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, but one of the recipes for the hat is using a Matra orb, which is
I
wild.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, it was like the most expensive one, and yeah, you could use a Matra orb as one of the ingredients,
Hmm.
which I don't get. Maybe someone out there has an explanation, but that was wild.
Hmm.
And with the interest, I thought it was funny that so Jane likes people who have mustaches. So
Hmm.
I forget all of them, but there was like Jeff Foxworthy, and she makes a terrible pun. She wants to be worthy of that fox. And Ron Swanson, to which you were like, "Yeah, I bet Hussy likes Ron Swanson."
Yeah, there. It just seems like in the real world, there's a certain type of people who like Ron Swanson, and generally, I don't like those people.
Yeah, he is a pretty hardcore libertarian.
Man, those are the worst.
Yeah. Listen, all they just what libertarians need to do is keep trying to create ocean societies and then failing.
Mhm. On a side note, a libertarian told me that the solution to our reproductive rights being taken away is to take guns to the government. I'm like, sir, I am not a white man.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
can't do these things.
Have they not, like, did they not see January 6th happen, or was this before then?
No, this was after. This was a few months ago.
Oh my god.
was like, no, I'm not gonna hang out here anymore. Bye.
Yeah, absolutely wild.
Anyway,
Anyway, before I go off on even more tangents about libertarians,
gonna piss off the libertarian Homestuck fandom.
I mean, I imagine those exist and they all hated everything after Act 4, probably. But apparently all they need to do is like trip real hard on shrooms or acid and then they stop being libertarians.
Because they like gain empathy because they view a different viewpoint for once.
Yeah, like people like there's a compilation I saw on Tumblr that was it's like I took shrooms and I'm like other people have feelings or like why do poor people exist? That sucks. And yeah, they trip real bad on psychedelics and have empathy. Or, you know, I shouldn't say empathy because like, you know, some autistic people don't have empathy and they're fine, but they like feel for other people and like understand other people are also main characters of their own lives.
Mhm.
But anyway, back to capitalism instead of strictly libertarians, but the Betty Bother app instead of Pester Chum and then the Tierra all like having pop-up ads and subliminal
Mhm.
messaging and shit.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think the subliminal messaging happened until after the rebrand
The rebrand of from the Betty
from the
Crocker thing
spoon
to
to
the
the fork.
forks?
Mhm.
I don't remember. I did see the like obey text and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the things I just kind of in my mind was like, okay, they changed it to a fork, and then I don't think critically about it. But since you brought it up, I assume that that means something important.
Yeah, yeah, it is offering hints at things. This is why, like, I'm kind of mad at the Rafe.name summary. Like, I mean, I guess it's because like it spoils things that you would not know if you have only read up to Act 6, Act 1.
Mhm.
I can't remember everything that's spoiled, but like there were a couple of things in there because I went through the summary for the section and it's like I'm glad I'm not just like straight up reading this out loud.
Mhm.
But this is offering hints to stuff that is really going on for people to slowly put the pieces together if they're the people who do that before it's
I'm too
outright
dumb for
obvious.
that. I'm way too
That's
dumb.
that's fair. I typically am too. So I'll just point out some of the pieces as we get them. But yeah, because I think the subliminal messaging didn't happen until after the rebrand. It is 11 which is also called what is it? Three, yeah, 2 times 3 prong day
Okay.
is what the Crocker Corp calls it.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, and okay about the subliminal the pop up ads and everything. And then like one thing I noticed was like how everything like the rebrand just automatically went out to like all the devices and like even the chest that's in her room it changes
Mhm.
from a spoon to a fork. So I was like, this auto everything connected to the internet rebranding launch is the future tech bros want.
Yeah. And you can't get your old versions anymore. They lock those out. No more classic GTA collection on Steam. You have to go download their crappy HD version or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Having like a separate app for the Betty Bother chat thing versus
Yeah,
Pester Chum, like that just makes me think of the meme of like capitalism breeds innovation, and it just shows like the same
yeah,
product or some terrible knockoff product.
I mean literally. Also another thing about the pop-up ads is so one of the pop-up ads was announcing Chief Justice of Supreme Court Guy Fieri. So that's a thing.
Mm. I don't know if I even read any of the ads. I just like looked at the pictures. I was like, yeah, that's ads.
That's fair. A lot of the ads were just like various Betty Crocker products.
Hmm.
She has 3 rabbits for birthday presents.
Hmm.
Um,
So things coming in threes, I guess.
yeah, and just a bunch of rabbits forever.
Yeah. And there are they different iterations of the same rabbit?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that'll be answered later.
It's the time traveling rabbit with a different name for every person from every person.
Yeah, But yeah, she has one that's supposed to be a detective from Jake. That's clearly Indiana Jones.
Mhm.
She has a wizard bunny from R. Lalonde, and she has a robot bunny from I labeled them all D Strider in here, but it's Dirk. We know it's Dirk.
Mhm.
We know that's his name. That doesn't offer you any more clues except for I'm obsessed with him.
He seems to have robots as well from just later on because I noticed the pointy glasses in a couple places. I'm like, oh, is this the Dirk person?
It is the Dirk person. Yeah, he's a big robot person. He made Robot,
Hmm.
which Jake ends up having to fight with. So yeah, and he has an autoresponder. So lots of bots.
So he would get along well with shit. Was it the sweaty troll who was good
Yeah,
with
it was
robots?
Equius. You have no idea how hard people ship that.
Oh.
Dirk Quius is a big ship. You're correct. You're on the money. Extremely funny.
Mm,
But yeah, Dirk Quius is a big ship.
yeah, and relating to that, they're only getting trolled, I think, by one troll. Is kind of what I got gathered.
Yeah, so far we've just seen the one.
Mm-hmm.
What was their name again? Uranian
You.
Umbra,
Mm-hmm.
UU, which has to explain not from Uranus, despite Uranian Umbra in the name.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yeah.
one talks like, to me, kind of British.
Oh, I didn't even notice. They just seem to be spelling things out a lot more than our main trolls, our normal trolls.
Yeah, they're extremely helpful. One thing they say is today is finally the day you make everything better to Jane, which is a big contrast to the first thing we see Carcat tell Jade is today's the day you finally fuck everything up or something like
Yeah.
that. Very clearly very clear parallels there.
Mm,
But yeah, they're very upfront about things and also tries to avoid spoilers, so they know a lot.
mm,
Just a very different dynamic than the others.
yeah. The actual trolls,
Yeah,
the trolley trolls.
the trolley trolls.
So it sounds like the troll had been talking to maybe all of the kids,
Yeah.
and then yeah, so they all were in on this idea of they're gonna play this game that's gonna change everything.
Yep. It's kind of interesting the different perspectives because Jane, of course, is the heiress to the Crocker Corp. Betty Crocker has done nothing wrong in her life ever and is also dead by now because that was hundreds of years ago. I think they said like 200 or something years ago, which I don't know if that's accurate. I actually watched a YouTube video about Betty Crocker a couple of months ago because it was talking about how like people ended up being shocked that the image of Betty Crocker was not a real person.
Hmm.
And like because people sent like proposals and stuff to Betty Crocker back in the early 1900s.
Hmm.
But anyway, so but Rox,
Hello.
yeah, no, sorry. Uh I just okay. Sorry.
Jax just glitched out.
I did sort of. But cuz Jane is extremely skeptical. Like
Mhm.
Jake believes everything that he gets told because they're friends. So of course he believes them. And Jane's like, this is obviously some weirdly elaborate prank, and I don't believe anything because it doesn't make sense. So Dirk tells her to be more like Jake and tells Jake to be more like her, like trying
Mhm.
to find the balance between the two extremes.
Yeah.
Dirk, we haven't gotten any opinions about Crocker Corp. Jake, his grandma was got into fights with Crocker Corp. I think like specifically Betty Crocker, and was then exiled to the island, which is why they're there. So he has more reason to believe the stuff about Betty Crocker. And then Lalonde is extremely fuck Betty Crocker. The Baroness, I think. I think that's what Lalonde calls her.
Mhm.
But yeah, and is more hesitant about playing the game because that's what Crocker Corp, Betty Crocker, wants them to do. Even though UU is like, yeah, this is good, you should do it. But towards the end of Act 6, Act 1, she comes around to,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what they should do.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is going to come up later, but they're playing the alpha of Spurb, right? And not
Hmm.
the beta, where the original kids had the beta, right? Or
Yeah, so what ends up happening is people call this group of kids the alpha kids and the other group the beta kids.
that's why we have A and B, huh?
Well, so that would make sense, wouldn't it? That would make sense,
Oh,
wouldn't it? But no, A1 is the troll ancestors, A2 are the trolls, and
okay.
then B1 are the beta kids and B2 are these kids.
Okay. But since they have the alpha version of Spurb, they're gonna get a what from that. What that means to me is they're gonna get a glitchier version of the game, like a
That is an
less complete,
interesting perspective. We'll see.
because you release your alpha before your beta.
Yeah.
No one's gotten Spurb Gold yet.
Right. That's what the next version is.
When we get our C group of people, still also gonna get it in the mail.
Yep. It
She
has to
can't.
try to.
Yeah, she can't go outside.
Yeah, John was avoiding his dad trying to get the mail, and Jane is avoiding her dad, but for very different reasons. John didn't want to get cake shoved in his face.
Mhm.
Jane is being protected from assassination attempts.
Mhm.
But she has Pop Pop in her living room, stuffed Pop Pop, which is like, I do like how Jane and Jake are both like, they have flavors of both John. There's parallels to both John and Jade in both of them.
Mhm.
And Jane gets stuffed Pop Pop,
Mhm.
who has the book we mentioned earlier that has the dedication to John, that Nana Sprite wrote in it.
Yeah. She also has the abridged version, and then Pop Pop deadly says to take the unabridged version or something.
Yeah, it's paralleling whenever Jade got into an argument with her dead grandpa about like which, yes, this gun is perfectly fine to take outside. I don't need your gun.
Mm,
So that was
okay.
paralleling.
Is it important that she accidentally cut off Pop Pop's arm and head? Or, well, not the head, because that was something else, but
So what I did notice with that is Pop Pop ends up getting that eye scar before his head is completely popped off.
okay.
The eye scar that, John's doll gets. Like he gets an arm ripped off and the eye scar.
Oh, that's what that's. Okay.
Yeah. But then Little Sebastian, they end up calling him Little Seb later,
Mm
but it's Little Sebastian, nestled in the corpse body and decapitated the corpse on the way out,
hmm. Mm
or
hmm.
the stuffed Pop Pop.
I'm glad the comic
Taxidermy.
is very much like in black and white.
Yeah. But yeah, in Little Seb, I made a note that instead of girls throwing around appliances through boys' houses, Jane via Little Seb throws appliances through the walls of her own house because her dad left a fridge in front of the door.
Mm
And so she has little Sebastian with his extreme strength for a tiny bunny
hmm. Mm hmm.
throw it.
I did like that there was the note left under the fridge of like,
Yeah.
"You are now strong enough to lift fridges. Also, don't go outside."
Right. Yeah, that was good. I'm glad that tradition lived up with Jane, but still don't go outside though. So proud of you. Don't leave the house. And she does leave the house and checks the mail and she explodes.
Mhm.
And so that's one less character we have to worry about.
Yay.
Oh, I did forget to mention she talks to Jake. It keeps getting hinted at throughout this act that she had a dream where she was on
Oh, right.
Prospit,
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons she starts believing things that are going to happen because Yu has been talking about Prospit.
Mhm.
So she wakes up on Prospit's moon and they're having a funeral for Jake.
His dream self has already died.
Yeah, he didn't even get to wake up.
Boo. I guess we'll find out why later.
Yeah,
Okay.
presumably. No, we
Okay.
will. We'll find it. Just Jake's already dead,
Mhm.
which makes some trouble for reincarnation,
Yeah.
god tiering and such.
However that even works, I don't know.
Yeah,
They have to die on a quest bed and come back as the god mode version.
yeah. Justin explained it last time, and it still goes over my head a little bit. I just kind of accept that it happens.
Mhm.
Jake, your comment. Why the fuck Jake talk like that?
Yeah.
Also, what's interesting with these kids is I just always think about them as being 16, but when they're here, they're all 15, almost 16.
Which brings me to that other comment that I put in my notes of like, why is everyone so horny?
Yeah. Yeah. It's because they're all 15-year-olds.
Yeah. And you said that I'm like, I can't relate.
Yeah.
I was never horny.
God. I wish I had that Ace experience. I was very horny, just not for anyone in particular, which was probably my downfall. Probably would have been easier if I was like actually horny for people instead of just in general.
Yeah. I was just like, I always say I wasn't born with the sex drive. I was
Yeah.
born with a computer drive. Like I just want to be on a computer.
Yeah, fair enough. But these kids definitely got their innuendos and horny shit going on.
Mhm. So Jake likes blue girls
Yeah. Yeah.
and
He makes out with their posters, calls them his
mhm,
beauties.
gross.
He also likes every movie he's ever watched, which I think is like just taking John to the extreme.
Mhm.
And he likes Laura Croft and just adventuring in general. He raids his nearby ruins.
Yeah, because he lives in like the well, near the frog temple.
Yes, he lives on the island with a frog temple. So he
Mhm.
raids those. Okay, so one thing is we also learned that Jane was a hero of life.
Mhm.
And in this we learn Jake is a page. And this I was debating on whether to include it, but it's not really that much of a spoiler as much as learning Dirk's first name is not much of a spoiler.
Yeah.
But in his introduction, either on the first or second page, there's this series of lines. There is a good skull at the heart of any mystery, haunting its every page. That is what you always say, or at least it is what you always hope.
Mhm.
And Jake is a page of hope.
Oh, he's not a page of skull.
He's not a page of skull. He's
Because
a
that's
page
the
of
other
hope.
capitalized word in there.
Yeah, skull, every page, and hope are the four capitalized ones. But it's very because I when I saw that I went back and reread Jane's and I couldn't find anything
Mhm.
about her class spec in her introduction. I think it would have been funny if he did that in every single one, but he didn't.
Mhm.
He did it in Jake's, and I'll have to pay attention to see if he did it in the others. I would say I guess it's hard to do that for other ones, but it was kind of a stretch to do it for this one.
Mhm. I mean, that those 2, 3 sentences don't even really make sense anyway.
Yeah, it was definitely pushing that in there, and then he didn't do it for Jane.
Mhm.
But he does have a skull computer that he wears,
Yeah.
which looks a lot like Lord English's skull face.
I don't remember what that looks like.
I can send it to you real quick if you're not looking it up.
I'm typing it in. I put Lord English skull face. Okay, I remember the coat and stuff. I just didn't remember the general rest of it.
Yeah, so he lives on the volcanic island that looks a lot like Jade's, except his is filled with troll monsters.
Mhm.
And so he has to deal with those.
He accidentally killed a fairy bull.
He did. He was on high alert, and then killed a fairy bull.
I would ask why are there Lussus monsters there, but I guess that's something else we'll find out later.
Yeah, like many things in Homestuck, we'll find out later.
Mhm.
And he's pen pals with Jade. He's in the process of making the present for John that
Mhm.
that Jade gives him, and he has to get it done today.
Mhm.
and he calls the robot bunny Terry Kaiser.
I don't even know what that's a reference to, if
Neither
anything.
do I, but it's a reference. And he needs more uranium. I
Right.
swear he's just gonna die of radiation poisoning before this is over.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Yeah.
Just
And the final
he gets
climactic moment.
cancer.
Yeah. Also, I made a mention of double pistols and a wink because that is in a fan song. I'm pretty sure it's in a fan song that Dami performed at one point.
Hmm.
But yeah, there is a Jake fan song that uses double pistols and a wink, and I forgot that was like in the comic itself, so it stuck out to me.
Why's he got the pistols? Why is he a gun kid?
Yeah, so he needs to get uranium, and he has to get that from Strider. He tries talking to Dirk and ends up spending a good chunk of time talking to his autoresponder.
Mhm. Which, when I first saw AR, I just thought of augmented reality, so that was confusing. And also, when I saw DS, I thought of the Nintendo DS.
Yeah, Dirk's glasses are actually screen, so he's double screen.
Oh.
Jake talks to AR for a good while before realizing it's AR, which apparently happens pretty frequently,
Mhm.
while Dirk takes one of his infamous, incredibly long showers.
Hmm.
Which is funny to me because some of the discourse that went on in 2019 after that blogs came out is making up new ways to make fun of Dirk. And one that got really popular was saying that he never showered and he was just like a greasy Cheetos covered boy. And I'm like, he is basically introduced taking showers regularly. That is a thing known about him is that he takes extremely long showers on the regular. He is the only character in the comic that canonically showers in the comic, as far as I remember. But I don't know. It's just like there are plenty other things to rag on Dirk for. He showers though.
Just such a random trait.
Yeah, it
And
is
then
funny though.
he created the autoresponder, and he's like, I need to let the autoresponder live and not just be an autoresponder because I'm responsible for this thing's life.
Yeah, which is very sweet. I forgot that he had that approach to AR. But yeah, because it is a copy of his brain that he created and put in glasses to talk to.
I really need a copy of myself as well. And
Yeah.
I would also treat my copy self with respect. We would switch off on who gets to go to work each
Mhm.
week or something, and the other gets to stay home and play games.
Yeah.
But
But
that's definitely been something I've been thinking about lately of like, what if I just locally set up an AI? I know AI is like a big discourse thing right now, but if I set it up locally and on the cloud and just
yeah.
train it on my own voice and hook it up to my list of questions and answers, can I just have my students talk to a chat bot of me?
Yeah. I think if you create your own chatbot of yourself based on your own knowledge, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just tired of interfacing with some students.
That's fair. But yeah, so Jake has to go fight Robot to take the uranium that powers him. And so we see him getting stalked by shining orange shades that are the Dirk shades or
Mhm.
the what is it? Kamina shades? Is that the one before it? Or the Squirtle shades?
Yeah.
The mimetic anime Dirk shades.
Mhm.
Whenever he gets attacked by a Capricorn monster because it's a goat from the ocean. That's my sign's symbol is a goat from the ocean. Uh, and then Robot appears out of nowhere and decapitates it.
Mhm. So what's this about easy and hard mode?
So I forget what the modes were called, which is why I just put easy and hard. But their Robot was currently in the harder mode that was impossible to beat. And so AR was like, "We'll just put him in easy mode." And Jake's like, "His easy mode is a little uncomfortable," kind of implying that like he got more like instead of like how like wrestling can be gay if you think about it as like and at the end they cuddle or like people play fight and it turns into makeouts.
That's never
Apparently
happened to
that's
me.
yeah, I had a friend who was extremely hyperactive and play fought with people as a way of flirting. So
Mm.
I watched it happen a lot. I actually went on I was going on a date, brought this person along for like safety. She did that play fighting thing with my date. We got back to her place and she was like and we got a call saying, "Actually, I'm really into your friend, not you." So play fighting, it works on some people. But apparently like robot on easy mode is a lot more tender and not super on like personal boundaries.
Mm.
And so AI was like, "Oh, you're complaining about the easy mode? Fuck it, easy mode off.
Aw,
No easy mode for you." Which Lalonde later turns back on,
okay.
or turns the option on, like doesn't switch it to easy mode, but re-enables it.
Mhm.
But didn't need it yet because robot just comes out and decapitates the Capricorn monster.
Decapricorn-tates it.
Yeah, that was smooth. That works. Yeah, and then now we have the characters that we haven't
Seen a
been
whole
with.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah. We saw enough so you could grab their screenshots, but not enough for anything else.
Mhm. Lalonde is drunk, and that seems to be the thing.
That's her current personality trait is drunk, hates Betty Crocker, is really mad she can't actually flirt with Jake, but is trying not to be mad about it because she wants to be a good friend.
Mm.
Yeah, Jake is the target of Jane and Lalonde's affections. And there's a little hint here for the future, but Jane's like, "Well, Lalonde, since you can't have Jake, why don't you just go after Strider?" And Lalonde's like, "LOL, Jane, you're so naive." So that's a thing.
I don't know what that even means.
We'll get to what it means. I'm just pointing it out now
Okay.
for later. A thing pointing out for later that you don't understand now is Lalonde is a sometimes a dark spot for UU.
Is that like how um Dark Spot is in like with Rose, they couldn't see her future and it was a dark area or something?
That seems to be what it is. We don't know UU's method of seeing things or if the dark spot is the same, but this doesn't seem to be one big dark spot in the future. It just seems to be throughout.
Okay.
Sometimes there are dark spots, but
Polka dots.
yes, polka dots. But we don't know the reason for that or if it's the same sort of way things are dark spots.
Mhm.
But just pointing that out. Also, Lalonde uses a lot of troll terminology. The only one I could remember when typing this up was wriggling day instead of birthday,
Yeah.
but there were a couple other ones.
She's training to be an exchange student.
Yes. Oh yeah. She also used the term pale to talk about relationships at some point. Maybe there were some
Pale.
others. Hmm. PALE this time, not PAIL. I feel should be pointed
Is
out.
that related to the quadrants?
Yeah, pale is usually in reference to more allegiance, the pink diamond quadrant,
Okay.
but it can also be technically in reference to the I think it's typically referred to as ashen, the osmotism. I think can also because I sometimes get this wrong, but I think flushed are the they, the ones where they fuck is what that one's called. The uh the red hearts, the black spades, the mate spritz, and the kismesis.
Mhm.
And then I think pale refers to the other two, but I could have that wrong, and maybe pale and flushed are only the pink and red.
I have
But
no
yes,
idea.
I spend a lot of time in shipping.
Mm.
I really do want more people to use Homestuck shipping because I think it adds some neat dynamics. I will bring it up when we talk about Dragon Age in the future.
Okay. I'll have to print out a cheat sheet
Yeah.
again of what each of the dynamics are because I feel like we've only covered a couple of them to any, like, great amount.
I will say we basically never cover auspitism more than we have already. People do
Mhm.
not know shit about that one. But yeah, we don't know a lot about Lalonde except, she's drunk. Her mom left her a lot of booze and never seemed to drink herself, and, she does a lot of typos.
Mhm.
Not really a lot else about Lalonde so far, I don't think.
Mystery first name.
Mystery first name. I can't wait until her full name gets revealed because there's gonna be some talks there. Like, that is the one where revealing the name will bring up some more conversation, but, Dirk's just Dirk. It's Dirk. People wanted him to be Dick because DI was, released first.
Mhm.
No, he's just
Dick
Dirk.
Strider.
Ryder. People do just call him Dirk Ryder, or Dirk Strider, Dick Ryder.
Mhm.
He's the irony guy. He gives,
My
like
favorite.
he gives lectures about irony at the drop of a hat. Yeah, Dirk used to not be my favorite character the first couple of times I read through,
Hmm.
but, he is. He is my favorite character now. And I unironically liked his sudden talk about irony to Jane.
Mhm.
He has locale that was referenced, and also seen in the video, and he has a superstar brother who makes movies and stuff.
Mhm. So I wonder if that's gonna be the same as Dave's brother, since the Guardians seem to be similar or the same.
I mean, I'm debating on whether this is a spoiler that will be explained later or if this is something that Hussey assumed you would pick up on your own and it's not explained later. I think it's the latter.
Do we just never see Dirk's brother?
So the thing is these are the Beta Kids guardians is what
Yeah,
these are. So they'll have different dynamics and stuff because their guardians are the Beta Kids.
their Guardians are the Beta Kids?
Yeah. So, because they haven't well, they've said, like, because Jake's grandma is
Grandma
Jake
Jade.
and, Jane's grandpa is John, so it follows that Dirk's brother is, Dave, and Lalonde's mom is Rose.
Okay.
So this is like, what if they crash landed on the planet earlier and lived their full lives? What would they have become?
Okay.
So
Mhm. I was just like, they got the same names because in the reboot we had to reuse them assets.
that would be funny. But no, it is, I think you are supposed to, I think it becomes more explicit later, of course, but, yeah, so these are the Guardians, and their Guardians are the Beta Kids.
Okay. That's an
So,
interesting thing to know.
yes, just to put some of that stuff in more context.
Mhm.
And, we pretty much covered UU already, knows more than the kids, avoid spoilers. We'll also be playing the game and is trying to time their start of the game for when the kids start, so they're not in the game already,
Okay.
but has been awake on Prospect's moon since they were born, basically.
Mhm. So we're gonna have a bunch of new people start the game again.
Yep.
After we saw the kids start the game, then the trolls, we saw them start the game. Now we get to see some more people start the game.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is I can also make a epic in the traditional sense of literature, an epic story if I just throw it in a for loop for I equals 0 to less than 4, I plus plus, put the same story beats.
Yeah. We have some, notes down at the bottom that didn't really fit in anywhere that we haven't talked about yet, but, one you wrote down is she made a note of something that, Jane says in reference to one of her posters, which is about Problem Sleuth 2,
Mhm.
Since then, the author has been steadily updating Problem Sleuth 2, which you have been following avidly. You're happy that he stayed in that lane and stuck with a time tested formula. If he went in a different direction, you probably would have found it really disappointing, which, obviously a reference for the people who did not like how Homestuck went
Mhm.
or is going.
Yeah.
You think these kids are more annoying than the originals.
Yeah, and I
Is it
don't know
because
if that's because 'cause they're 16 and
year old?
horny
Yeah.
or
15, 16-year-olds. I don't know. 13-year-olds are pretty annoying, but these are like a different flavor of annoying.
Yeah, it gives me, like, does it make sense to have PTSD about being in the 16 to 18 age range?
That super makes sense. I will say that one thing people get wrong when talking about the alpha kids is thinking that any of them are supposed to be like in the right compared to the others. No, they're all annoying because that's
Mhm.
what being 15 and 16 is like.
Yeah.
No one comes out on top is in this is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
But I love them. You also said Wait are the trolls based off of the Little Monsters, Howie Mandel. I
I
don't think they're based off, but people often wondered because John had a Howie Mandel or Little Monsters Howie Mandel
right.
poster in his room, and people thought that was foreshadowing of the trolls, but Hussey had no idea he was going to make the trolls at that point. So I think it's a reference to the fact that people thought that that was foreshadowing
Okay.
more than anything.
Yeah, because I kinda saw that oversaturated poster for this time, and it looked like Howie Mandel had orange horns. I'm like, "Oh, is
Maybe it does. I don't know. I've
when
never
Hussey was
watched Little
designing."
Monsters.
I haven't seen it either, but I've seen reviews about it probably from the Nostalgia Critic a long time ago, but
Yeah. Yeah, they don't look super orange in the pictures
mhm.
I'm seeing.
But same kinda,
Yeah.
like, bluish, kinda grayish skin tone and then horns. So I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay, well,
he's super
maybe
blue.
when Hussey was designing trolls, that's where they went is, 'Oh, this is kind of related.'"
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, there might be more comparisons there that we just don't know about because we haven't seen the movie. But, I think it was a reference to that people thought he was foreshadowing rather than that he actually took inspiration from it.
Yeah, I mean, they put this stuff about the whole apple juice pea thing, and I think that's also from that movie.
That is. That is. Why are the curtains green this time? I know there's a reason. I forgot to ask someone what the reason was. I don't think it's like a plot important reason as much as a thematic reason. But yeah, the curtains are green in this one, in this half of Homestuck.
Let's see, is red, yellow, blue, blue and yellow are green. Is it like the opposite of red with the general color palette or something? Like if you look at a color wheel, it's the opposite. But I usually think in terms of red, green, blue because I'm on the computer all the time.
Yeah, that's fair. I know that there's an explanation for it. I tried doing a quick Google and I'm not seeing anything pop up. There are people who are posting assets and stuff. Yeah, maybe I'll come back to that. I just know there is a thematic reason.
Who knows? Who knows why Hussey does what they do?
Yeah. Anyway, any last thoughts or comments?
I'm interested in seeing what the intermission is going to be.
Yeah, you might like that better. Do you like any of the characters or have any positive feelings of any of the characters over the other so far? Of these 5?
Indifferent.
Yeah, that's fair. We haven't super gotten to know them well yet. Jane
Yeah.
and Jake are in their two-dimensional stage, so we'll have time to flesh them out.
Mhm.
Oh, people keep asking me, "Do you still hate Homestuck?"
Who, me?
Yeah, I think you were saying before that you just did not like Homestuck.
I was looking forward to continue reading because it's been a while. It's still grating to read the text.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I guess I'll just make a judgment after I've finished.
that's
Um,
fair. That's
like
fair.
it's certainly a thing.
It
I
is
don't
it
I
is
don't know how I feel about it.
yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, I think you'll like the intermission a little bit more if I remember I mean, I don't remember, like, virtually anything that happens in the intermission, but I think you'll like it more. But, yeah, so we'll do that. Do you wanna plug your stuff?
Yes, go to the moosad.itch.io. That's Moosade. That's where my games are. And then I'm currently working on updating Christmas Horse, and then in November I'll work on development of Christmas Horse 4. So you can continue following the epic saga of Christmas Horse fighting Santa and the elves.
Fantastic. And I include links in the description, so you have an excuse because you can clicky click. I keep wanting to say other things, but they just won't be relevant by the time this comes out. You will be already used to them. I will say if you haven't signed up for the newsletter yet, you should have by now because I'm mostly off Twitter. I actually just posted it today that I'm not really using that Twitter anymore and that you should go follow me. Discord, newsletter, those are the best places to keep up with me as I'm saying this right now. Which again is useless because this won't be out for a while. Anyway, until next time in the future, I feel like I should have a sign off. I used to. Maybe I don't.
Never. What was it? Shit, I was trying to think of the Galaxy Quest one. Never give up, never surrender, or something.
Oh my god. I used to have one for the podcast that was like, don't be afraid to be a little selfish or some shit.
Mhm.
Something like that. Something a little edgy. Anyway, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.